Right here. Hey y'all. You're not gonna say anything when you know you're live, right? Hey y'all, this is my first show on YouTube. And I am so nervous. Thank y'all for tuning in. Keeping it real with Shell. Every second and fourth Tuesday. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Candy bar. So bear with me a minute, y'all, because I don't know if this thing is even on, if it's working right. But we're about to get started. You're not saying anything. You are live. Are you called? Yes, no, we are live. You're not saying anything. Like, they can spirit at us. They can say hi, y'all. All right, we can go live. We are live. Go live on it. All right, y'all. Welcome to Keeping It Real with Shell. It's been a minute. Hope all of y'all out here doing well. Today's topic is going to be mental illness in the Black community. And I think that's something that we need to talk about because it's something that's dismissed and people frown upon it. And they also act as if it doesn't even exist, but it's real. We have our guest in the house, Mala. Hey. All right, so again, mental illness in our Black community and how it's frowned upon. We all have somebody in our family, hell, it might even be ourselves, that have some kind of illness mentally that affects us and how we act, or, you know, we may go into periods of depression where we need to just relax and stay to ourselves. And we may not know what that is. You know, all we know is that, you know what, I just don't feel like being bothered. Don't get me wrong, we all need self-time. That is okay, that is acceptable, I get it. But sometimes some people take it to a whole other level. They go through a depression. They can't function. They take periods where they don't want to talk to anyone, see anyone, and you like, well, where have they been? And then they come back and they're like the most bubbly person in the world.
Right.
But we don't know what they're going through.
Right.
Sometimes you may not know you're experiencing it unless somebody brings it to your attention, and other times you are aware of it. But why does it seem as if you say you're going to see a shrink or I'm going to get help about issues that I have, people look at you like, well, what's wrong with you? Why do you need to go get help? Like, this is what we do. Like, ain't nothing wrong with you. Like, people going through worse situations and we deal with it every day.
Yeah. I mean, that's the stigma of it, you know, showing any type of weakness. It's considered weak to need help. It's considered weak to ask for help. Everybody do that. You said that comparison thing of, you know, there's other people that are dealing with things worse than you are right now. Buck up, get your life together, be strong, go take a nap. Like, there's all these things that people try to tell you you shouldn't feel the way you feel. But real rat, who are you to tell me how I should feel? And why are you guilting me into not being able to express the way I feel? Mental health is way more important than a lot of things. I mean, mentally, if you're not right, you find yourself not doing anything that you normally would have considered normally what you would do. Like you said, you hold into yourself. You decide you're not going out. You could be that party girl that's always going out, and next thing you know, nobody's seen you in like a month. You know, and then it's not equated to mental health. It's equated to, oh, she must be going through something right now, or she, you know, something. You know, it's all these different things that people put on it, opposed to just checking up on you and seeing what's really good. But again, in our community, it's not talked about.
That's what we do. Like, that's part of our community. Because I saw this growing up. I saw, you know, abuse. I've seen, you know, death, not the average death, you know, and people don't understand, like, that can be real traumatic and it keeps you in a place that you can't seem to adjust normally and function from.
Well, I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense because I mean, as Black people, we've been raised to handle or to witness things that like people just shouldn't be able to handle or witness. Like, half of the things that you've seen, like, is you're becoming desensitized to a lot of things. I truly believe if you were brought up in a predominantly Black, underserved neighborhood or a poor neighborhood, you witnessed or you've done some things in your childhood that no kid could survive or should be able to survive. But we've been programmed that this is status quo. This is just what it is. So
that's what happens in your community.
It's just what happens. But then you're also dealing with kids growing up with, you know, probably PTSD or depression or anxiety or all these things. And it's not diagnosed or given the proper treatment so that, you know, you can work out of them, not grow out of them, because that's a big thing too. Oh, she'll grow out of it, or he'll grow out of it. And it's like, no, you don't grow out of these things. Because those are environmental conditions that have been put on you that you've kind of like learned, and then now mentally your brain kind of programmed itself to in either protection mode or attack mode or whatever. But these are mental issues, illnesses that are coming out and displaying itself physically or emotionally or however it's being displayed. And it's a shame that it's considered normal for us when technically it shouldn't be normal for anybody. It's somebody crying out for help. It's somebody trying to express something but being told that they can't. I mean, men are told constantly, you know, don't cry. You know, you're a girl if you cry, or it's weak if you cry. And sometimes if you just get that one, how many times have you cried and you just felt 10 times better?
Yeah, you just get that one cry.
You get that one cry out and you just be like,
Woo!
Thank
All right.
you. I
What's
can
up?
move
What's
forward.
next?
But you telling a man that, or you telling a boy who then becomes a man that it's not okay to cry. It's not okay to show any type of emotion. So they're bottling up all these emotions and all these feelings. These become mental problems and they become mentally stagnant. That then when they become adults and have to express a feeling to another person, people are looking at you like, what is wrong with you? Why are you the way you are? And it's like, well, what else way am I supposed to be?
But where do you think that comes from? This whole, like, just deal with it. Oh, you can, it's all right. It ain't that bad. People going through things much worse than yourself. Where does that come? Why are we so hard on each other instead of saying, you know what? This person I know is going through something. How can I encourage them? How can I, even if it's just about listening? And don't get me wrong, we have our own things that we need to go through. And sometimes if somebody's consistently in this place, it wears on you. You now start to carry that burden. But ultimately, just to be encouraging, just to say, listen, it's okay. And if you need me, I'm here.
That's a learn.
Why is that so hard for us as people to seem to do? Because it's all really about support. And half the time, that's all people need.
Right, but that's also a learned thing. I feel like that's one of those things that you have to witness yourself, and then like it's empathy. So what you're displaying is like pretty much empathy. Like I need to be able to empathize and not just sympathize with this person. Like you can sympathize with this person, but empathy meaning I can feel where you're coming from, and then let me see if I can help you. The problem with it is that's also self-worth. You have to know within yourself this is something that you can do, and it's okay to show that to another person. And a lot of times you learn that from somebody else or you witness it from something else. If you see another, like if you can be that person for another person and somebody witnessed that, or the person that is handed to, it's kind of that pay it forward type of thing, and it kind of snowballs into, maybe we can help. But I feel like again it's a learned thing. Some people are naturally nurturers.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have that person that comes to you and want to help you and guide you through this. But how do you guide a person through that? That comes from, I guess, learning it from somebody else and just taking the time to like research what it is and seeing it in another person and just going up to it. Because a lot of times, as Black women, we know we can't yell, we can't get smart, we can't, you know what I mean? Because that's that Black girl anger. It's a whole. She's too aggressive. She's
that whole
stereotype.
Like
you get like the angry Black woman. Like you can't do that. And we, if you work in the corporate world or if you work anywhere at work, people can piss you off, but you can't show. You better not show that anger. Like you just better not, because then you're the angry Black woman. But what if you just angry all the time and you yelling and you spazzing out? Like that's not angry Black woman. That's something wrong with that person, and somebody needs to talk to that person
and see if you can help them instead of passing judgment on them.
Right. Right.
At least try to. Don't get me wrong. They may come across and be extremely defensive.
Yes,
that's real because their whole life they've been taught that they need to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I now begin to learn to relax and say I can trust people? But then when I want to share, because this is real, if I want to open up and share what I'm going through, how do I know that I can trust people, or who I believe I can trust, or who comes across with this empathy, sympathy, and I say, oh, you know what, let me open to this person and I trust, and they turn around and use that against me.
But that's on, honestly.
That's why a lot of people don't want to share their mental issues, illnesses, and so forth, because I don't know if I can truly trust and know that this is confidential. This is just between me and you, and we can get through this thing together. You don't know.
You do know. And I'm only saying this because I think it's more of an observational type of thing. You have to pay attention to conversation. If me and you are together and I've known you for a long time and I've heard you say anything remotely close to something that's not sympathetic to something I'm going to, even though I never said it, but somebody else said it or is going through it, and I see your reaction to that, I'm instantly not going to trust you with whatever's going on with me. You're already mixed out of that conversation. I'm not talking to this person because this is how they reacted to someone. And that's what I mean, but that's what trust with anything. We tell people always talk about how can I trust? How can I trust? It's being observant. You know, you have to just be observant of the people around you. There are people in your crew that you may not trust them to give them $10 and go to the store because you know you might not see that $10 again. But if you sit around them and you hear their conversation, that could be the person that I can trust and have this conversation with because I can actually see them going through the same thing that I'm going through. And let's talk together. Nobody in our circle may know what we're talking about because they can't relate to what we're talking about. It's all about being observant. And some people don't, and unfortunately, some people just don't have that. The people you think you should trust turn out to be the ones that you can't trust with that information, like your family members. Mm-hmm. Like you may, you know, I love my mom to death, but I've observed her enough over the years that I know there are specific things I cannot talk to this woman about, and I am not going to. Mm-hmm. So, and I love her to death and can talk to her pretty much about everything except this, and this. Like, and that's just what it is. And then you may have a crew, like, fortunately for me, I have a core group of friends that I know if I say this, I'm gonna have their 100% support. Mm-hmm. And that's just over time of us knowing each other that I can go to them and say, I need help. I think I need to see a psychiatrist. Something's not right.
And they won't judge you.
And it's not a judgment. And matter of fact, they never told her nothing. You know, you'll hear, oh, I saw one last year and and this is what they did for me. And you know, you never know. It's like sometimes you have to give that trust because you just never know. I was surprised to hear because we never talked about it. Mm-hmm. So if I say something like that and then I get the feedback of, oh yeah, I did that too, and this is how I found that person. You just open up a doorway to invite that conversation in. So it's just like, okay, I'm gonna put it out there and see what happens. I might get good feedback. I might get bad feedback. If I get bad feedback, I know I can't talk to you. I'm just going to have to sit and wait, or you just do it yourself.
Yes, but if I do it myself, right, and I'm going to get treatment, I'm going to get, talk to whoever, whether it be spiritual counseling or, because sometimes I think what people are going through is deeper than just going to see a regular shrink or a regular psychiatrist. Like some things are so deep that it's only a spiritual healing that can generate growth.
I am going to say something that's probably a little controversial, and this is just me. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about anybody else. I feel like you find help where you find help. And if it's a spiritual journey that you need, then that's where you need to go. But I'm a strong believer in, you can pray on it, you can ask God for it, but you still need to go out and get it. You still need to put forth the effort. And yes, you may need a balance of both spiritual and psychological help, because again, just praying on it will not, I believe,
it's not
enough. It's not just a help. I'm going to pray that I can get this help, and then I'm going to go get that help. And hopefully God pushes me in the right direction to the person that's going to help me the most. I'm not a very religious person at all, so that's not always my first go, but I feel like a lot of people definitely go, like, for instance, I've realized a lot of my family members that went from, being addicted to drugs heavily the way they are. That's one addiction that once they got into religion to get away from drugs, it helped them. But they went so full into religion, it became, now this is your new addiction. Like everything is this. It's almost like you're addicted to being addicted, and you had to get rid of one addiction to get to the next, to pick up another addiction, and your addiction of choice. And it's like, I can't be mad that you went this route because you're no longer killing your body,
but now you have another addiction that ultimately could be in a negative.
Right. So it's like you still need help because you're just replacing it. And it's like, this is a great thing. And I think a lot of people, definitely in our community, use church as a means of self-help. And it's just like, maybe you need to go a step further because you just like, it's, one of the things that they do with drug addicts, if you're on heroin, they'll give you another drug that's a lesser drug.
Correct.
Than
It's still on
heroin.
a drug,
So you
drug.
may be on methadone, you might be on Suboxone, one of those drugs. And it's like, you're still on a drug, but this is this drug is preventing you from going this route, and this drug is not going to kill you as quickly as this other drug. But in the same breath, you're not going to be on this forever. We're going to eventually wean you down until we no longer have that. So I feel like when people go from one extreme to another extreme, you're not really dealing with the mental issue that brought you to drugs. And and a lot of our people also use drugs as a means of treatment.
Yes, very much so.
So
on that note, y'all, we'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Give us a call, 215-909-6070. We'll be right back. Keeping it real with Shell, www.sadorradio.com.
Do you need to talk there? Oh, Jesse.
Small staring Jesse up.
Why?
Because they don't put the city to shame.
What, Chicago?
Yeah, y'all hear that? They shaming Jesse because he embarrassed the city. Forget everything else. The city embarrassing itself. The murder rates. Like, come on now. I'm not saying.
I just feel like they're spending too much time.
That Jesse is not. What Jesse did was wrong. I ain't gonna lie.
But did he do it? Because he was just exonerated. Not exonerated, but he was just.
Well, they say it was because of
charges.
money. It was because of money.
What money?
I guess I don't know. He paid the people off. I don't know. I don't know.
No
but the bottom line is, you shame the city and you must pay. It's so many bigger things that Chicago could be worried about than that.
Yeah,
and that's all I'm
big,
saying.
That's my biggest
You
thing.
spend it on, and I get it. And the only reason you pressing it like this is because he's a celebrity. I get it. Is he wrong? Yes, he is. Give him some community service hours and let the man go on his way. It ain't that deep. I understand the police were out there looking for stuff. Y'all wasting time locking people up. Or did they even get locked up? So they held them and questioned them. Like, I get it. I get it, Chicago. You mad. I just don't think that it's bigger things that we could be doing. This ain't like our R. Kelly situation. You know what I mean? It ain't like that.
Talk about mental health.
Talk about mental health. That's good. You know?
I'm just tired of giving all these unnecessary or I don't know what the word is. I'm tired of just giving them life. They're giving me too much.
I don't get it. It's so, like I said, it's so many bigger things to, and I wish somebody would really put that on the table. Why are you pressing this issue so much? Please tell me.
Take the tax money, people's money, and
Make him pay. I don't know. Just make him pay.
Nothing.
A fee.
I don't look. They already dropped the charges. Whatever happened, or didn't happen. I don't really care. There's people lie all the time. I don't see Becky from the barbecue getting this much attention. Like I'm just over it.
That's something I really don't care about. If we're going to have a conversation, let's have a conversation about something that is really going to better this. I just don't see it. I don't think he's ever going to admit that he lied. If he lied, they're saying he lied. He made the whole story up. He's adamant he didn't.
Well, he would have been in jail, and he not.
The guys that they thought were the people who actually did it. They ain't pressing the issue.
Nobody pressing the issue in Southern Chicago.
But didn't they say that he paid them money to assault him?
All I know, all of it is, what do they say when they don't want to admit to being in allegations? Just playing music.
There's some other words around.
Because I took a break off of the radio. So I'm playing music right now, but we still love them.
What's the?
You know, when you hear. Yo, what movie is this from?
Oh, it's Love Jones.
Love Jones. That was on TV.
I got to make a shit. I'm digging you like a
Yo, that's so right.
He's so smooth. He still looks the same. This movie came out what, like 20 years ago?
I think he looks better now, like with Power. He looks better now than me. He looks younger now than me.
That's it.
Like the magic. Like the magic.
That's that boy magic.
When I come back,
And I know it's like the radio, but it's also the live stream. So it's just like we're just playing through all this stuff. You know what to do. Oh, you not even know because it's live. Let me tell you something. This is hilarious. It's like this is funny to me, but yeah, like.
Fuck you, man. I ain't worried about him. It's you who I want to step to my seat.
yo, Mia Law was like, huh?
All about
But she was like, oh.
I haven't seen Love Jones.
That was a good movie. That's when all of them was coming out around that time.
Yeah. And right now, they're losing their left side.
Trying to come funky, really right.
Is that all right?
Yes, baby. Yes, baby.
I'm waiting on you.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Keeping It Real with Shell. www.sudorradio.com every second and fourth Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Tonight's topic is mental illness in the Black community. Please give us a call 215-909-6070. Right before we took a quick break, we were talking about how drugs are used to deal with some of the mental issues that we have in our community, whether it be alcohol, weed,
Pills,
pills,
opioids, whatever.
you know, whatever you can get your hands on to make me feel better, because I don't want to deal with the reality of what's going on in my life. I just don't know how to cope with it. And sometimes people cope with it, they always working. I'm a work. Because I never deal with it, because I'm always keeping myself busy. I never, ever truly deal with it, because I'm never alone. Because when I spend time by myself, then I actually think about it.
Well, are you talking about something specific, or are you just talking
about like
general?
mental illness? Like, I don't want to, when I'm by myself, I have to deal with it. I have to face it, the thoughts that come into my mind when I sit by myself, and I don't want to deal with it. So I find things to do to keep myself preoccupied.
Well, there's different type of mental illness, so we can't bucket mental illness into just one category. Like, you have mental illness, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mental illness is broken down from several things, from depression to anxiety to PTSD to OCD. There's like a whole bucket, and then those are like, I'm not trying to make them smaller, but then there's like levels to that. Like you could get manic depressive, or there's chronic depression, and then there's acute depression. There's like they all spiral down somewhere, and then you start adding them up together, and then you have somebody with OCD and depression or anxiety, or generic anxiety, and then you super in like it goes on and on. So it really depends on the person and how they deal to cope. When you're talking about somebody who's like I'm one of those people who have a racing brain. Like my brain just don't shut off. Like I go to sleep, my brain is just not shut off. Like there is like nothing I can do to shut my brain off. Like it's hard because sometimes it manifests in I lose train of thought very quickly, or I have to hurry up and jump on this topic really quick because I know in like seconds I'm going to lose it. So it's a lot, and then you add depression or anxiety on top of that. That kind of like multiplies like unbelievably. So like just to be personal, like my personal story, whatever. My family, on one side of my family, there's a high level of mental illness, and I'm talking about the like real true like stuff that nobody wants to talk about, schizophrenia, bipolar, and things of that nature. And I really questioned why was there so much on this one side of the family. And then two of the people that were diagnosed or just newly diagnosed of it, were heavy drug users. And we had my family, we had a whole discussion about it because I had another cousin who was like, he was looking at his kid and he was like, I think something's wrong. So it made us look even more further back because we have a grandmother we never met. And the story behind her was she passed away because she had a broken heart. And I always question her, like, what does that mean? Like, what is that? And it wasn't until I got older and I really started thinking about it and looking at, so much mental health problems. Like, besides of the mental health, there's like three of them on that side of the family had other, like, one had pica, which is an eating disorder. Another one is on the scale of autism, low functioning. And then another one is is high functioning. So it's just like, why is there so much mental illness on this side of the family? And then you turn around and you say, well, their mother died of a broken heart. And you go, well, what is that? What does she have? Like, what's wrong with her? That she
I was all right, so
well, because my grandfather died, and then she died a year later, and I questioned, well, did she commit suicide? Nobody would tell me, like nobody would say it, because I'm questioning all these things that are happening on this side of the family, and nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, now we're starting to actually see, and I hate to stereotype, but suicide amongst us as a Black community was something that was extremely rare.
Or not talked about.
Or not talked about as much.
I don't think it's rare. I think we all have stories that if we really think about what we know today, and we think about, Uncle Bobby, got on the boat, never came back, or like some story that the family has created
to cover
what it truly was,
instead of truly dealing with it.
But how would you deal with it when you think about, like, you start thinking about your parents, and then you think about your parents' parents, and then you start going further and further back. Those, psychiatry, psychologists, and those things weren't available to our people at all. So if you had a child that had mental problems or had any type of disability, whether they were going cerebral palsy or they had mental, I don't think the word is mental retardation anymore. I can't remember exactly the new term for it or whatever. But we've all, like, if they had Down syndrome, if they had anything on the spectrum, you just dealt with it. You either had that person living with the grandparent because the mom
didn't have the means to take care of it, or mentally they couldn't deal with it,
or because they had other kids and they just couldn't do it. Like, there's something in your family that definitely did exist back then, and there was no outlet to take care of this kid but you. You did everything. So if your kid, like if you had other kids that had other problems, you sent them off to school and let the school deal with it.
Yeah.
And now that you have a whole generation of kids that's on these ADHD drugs, medications, and stuff like that, and then oh, these kids are so hyperactive. You need to put them on Adderall. We need to put them on something
But
else.
that's so recent. These diagnoses of children, oh, you can't sit still. It got to be something, or it's this, or it's that.
It's not that
maybe,
recent.
Maybe they just need a different way of learning. It's not the average way that is so structured. Because everything is based upon a structure. And if you don't fit in that structure, it's something wrong with you.
Well, it's putting a Band-Aid on a gaping hole because what a drug does, like, so I spent years working with mental behavioral health children. And one of the biggest things was like getting their medication correct. So they had memory use all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So ADHD, every kid had ADHD. So every kid was on some type of ADHD.
And that's what I'm saying.
Medication.
How is it really major that, I mean, it's like every kid now is diagnosed with that. And I really feel that that's not true. I think they're trying to control.
It's control.
Children.
It's control. It's
by
control.
Diagnosing them and saying that if a child produces or shows this, boom, 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 now all of a sudden they got something, give them medicine, which ultimately is what? I really believe it's dumbing the children down.
That's exactly what it's doing, but the point is to slow that kid down. So if you have a hyperactive kid,
you see what I'm saying? Why not allow it's something, it gotta be something else besides medication to keep these children or even adults more focused besides some medicine. They might be good musically, so get them involved in music.
That's easier said than done.
But I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of trial and error to find where it would fit, but why is the easy fix just here, take this pill? Every day, could you imagine what that is doing? And all medication have a side effect. What it is breaking down year after year, and then they tell you they're on the medication for life. Like you never coming off.
Some kids, you have to be weaned off of those things, and they're not meant to be honest with you, they're not meant to last as long as they should be. They should have. And I think in the beginning, I think it's like when these drugs became available, in the beginning, it was like the magic bullet. It was, this is the drug that's going to calm your kid down. They're going to be more focused. They're going to be, and it's true for some and it's not true for all. But again, it's a trial and error type of thing. You have to figure out what works for you. I know several adults who are on ADHD medications, and they're like, without it, I would not be able to maintain, period. But they're high functioning, they can work, they can do everything they got to do. They just needed something to slow them down. And they were able to do it. But when you're talking about it, like, but the problem with this is misdiagnosing. There are so many people that are misdiagnosed, so they're drugged up. So now you're having more delayed reactions, more problems. And it definitely starts from their kids because, again, you heard Tom's son is now on this ADHD drug. He used to climb up the walls and he's not doing that anymore. Maybe my kid needs that as well. And then you give that to a kid who really probably doesn't need that. And like you said, probably just needs some type of structure or needs to be put in a program that, fuels that energy into something more productive. Now you put that kid who doesn't really need the stimulant on this drug, and now they have more problems as they get older. And you see that side of it. So it's like a double-edged sword in that, like, I feel like it's needed for some, but not for all.
So then the problem is still there. The medicine doesn't work for these people. How do we address them? How do we help them?
It's seeing a psychiatrist. It's going out there and getting help. It's weaning them off. It's putting them, it's making sure that these people are put into the correct position to be better. Because some people, it's a hard thing to talk about because these drugs have been out for like 20, 30 years. Like, these are not new on the market drugs. But the diagnosis of this has increased over the last 15 or so years for it. So now you have too many people on it. And I know you are starting to see doctors having to prove that this person truly has ADD or ADHD before they can get this particular medication or they can prescribe this particular medication. They want to see that this kid or this person has tried other alternatives before they were giving this drug, because the other problem with these are stimulants, which means they're habit forming. So you had kids, I know when I was in college, I had kids snorting Adderall. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it was just like they just needed that extra boost to like keep them going to get through the stress of college. And then it helped them out sometimes because it like the effects were like they lost weight, they weren't eating, they weren't doing a whole lot of things. So it's a crazy thing. But
when you think about, if they don't give them the medicine, then go see a psychiatrist or a shrink, whatever, works for you. But can people afford that? That's another thing I want to talk about, because as far as insurance purposes, is everyone covered? Does everyone have insurance? That's one of the things, because that's major. Everyone doesn't have insurance too. Does your insurance that you do have even cover you to go seek mental illness doctors?
I think in this day and age, I think they call it wellness, the wellness portion of insurance.
Yeah.
And it really depends, because I mean, I know with the ACA, I don't even know if that's the bump now, but people still with the ACA or Obamacare, as you want to call it, or whatever. Mental health has always been a part of a lot of the packages. I know, I can only speak on my insurance and what it definitely covers. And it definitely covers inpatient and outpatient therapy, whether that's, seeing a psychiatrist. I mean, and it's twofold. So my company has this thing called CareBridge, where you can call up and you get like 5 free sessions, and then your insurance can pick up. But as long as you pick somebody that's within the network.
Yeah.
So I do know that from my company that's what they do. And then the copay of that, well, actually, it's free as long as they're in network.
In the network, but if you decide to go outside, see a certain specialist,
yeah, it's like $25 or something like that. And I know that's just, I can't speak on everybody, and I didn't do any research to find out like who has what. But I think in this day and age where people are promoting mental wellness. So I actually did the CareBridge thing because I was in this whole, I'm just going to get my body, I'm going to just get everything right. And I was like, where I was failing on the fitness and everything else was because I was mentally not there. Like I just was not, I realized I couldn't do anything else if I wasn't mentally right. Like, I don't care what like physical fitness regimen or even diet, or if I wasn't about it, I just wasn't about it. And I could easily talk myself out of it. And I've always had an excuse. And then I thought to myself, like, why do I always have an excuse? Why do I always think like this? Why is this, why is it so easy to be like, all right, I'm gonna go to the gym at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. come out, I'm gonna go at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, now it's too late. Like it just got ridiculous. I'm gonna just go tomorrow. Like I could so easily talk myself out of stuff. And I had to really think, like, why am I feeling this? Like I'm not invested. Like it sounds good within that second that I say it, but I am not committed to this. And because I was like, I need to start with like getting mentally, there's so much on my mind that I'm making excuses for pretty much everything that I'm doing. And I realized that I might be depressed. So let me go get this together. Like if I can get myself mentally together, then everything else can fall. Like it'll be a domino effect. Like I'm mentally getting myself together, and now I'm committing. I can set goals. I can, any goal I was setting at before that just wasn't happening. I don't care what it was. It just was not happening. And then I also saw myself like just slowly moving away from friends and family. Just not, I didn't initiate anything. Like if you didn't say, Mal, come do this, Mal wasn't doing it. I just wasn't doing it. It had to be, the onus had to be on somebody else to do it. I just wasn't doing it. So, just putting all that into perspective and then thinking about my family. And I'm just like, I can see myself spiraling. I need to get help. So I was like, let me go and do this and just get this, like, see what they say. And it's not, the first person you go to is not going to be that person. Like, unfortunately,
it might not just
it just might not, like, you might find that person and be like, oh, I can talk to this person every day and we can discuss whatever we discuss. Or you might go to somebody and be like, you don't relate to me. I mean, unfortunately, there's a
or you feel like they're judging you. Or like the whole aura they're giving off is like,
But what I found is the biggest thing is relatability. Like,
yes.
It may sound racist or whatever you want to call it, but if you wasn't black, you couldn't relate to me. If you wasn't a person of color, you could not relate to me because I can't see myself going to a white therapist and complain about a black girl issue and we have it that just other people don't get. The question would be, well, why do you feel that way? I need you to know why I feel this way because
relate to
why do I have to explain
everything?
This one. I don't want this person touching my hair. They're always touching my hair. I need somebody that if I say that to that person,
well, I get it.
Yeah. Like, what do I do?
Small to them touching your hair.
They don't want you don't like people touching your hair. Exactly. I don't want that. No, you can't relate to me. And I think in this day and age, the one thing I do like about this day and age as far as mental health, there's so much information out there.
It is. But you gotta want to get it.
Yeah, but it's there. Like, I feel like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would not know where to go. I would not know what to do. I would literally be looking at friends and family and seeing if they're doing anything different and then trying to piggyback off of that. Or to be honest with you, you only saw people want to see psychiatrists in the movies. You only see, and it was only white people. It really was. It was only white people like you. And then with the things that they were going for, you were just like, why would I go to the, like, I got no problem. We don't do that. Right? That's, they always say that's a white people problem. Like, you go to the bar. I'm like, it's all of that. That doesn't, but I had to, like, really push all that to the side and be like, it's not even about that, because my biggest problem was I never thought my problems were big enough
to go get help for it.
Yeah, or just like in general, because I was doing a comparison of, I have a friend that's going through X, Y, Z. My best friend is dealing with X, Y, and Z. My problems are not that big. And it's like, all right, they may not be big in the spectrum of what other people are going through, but stop comparing yourself to other people, because who cares what they're going through? Mentally, you're breaking down. You're going to have a problem.
And you feel yourself breaking down. And I think when you start to feel, because we all know that feeling.
Yeah.
Where you like, oh my God, like you said, you see yourself spiraling. And it's like, I can't seem to get it together. And it starts real small. It could be something like, I gotta wash clothes. You know what? I ain't gonna wash clothes.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you need to be at the laundromat. That's how many clothes you have. You like, or you don't wash them, you go buy new clothes.
You go buy new clothes.
And it's just stacking. Then you're like, I need to clean my house.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna clean my house today. But then you keep making excuses.
Yeah.
Or you're like, I'll get up tomorrow. Or like you said, in an hour, I'm gonna get up. That hour then turned in 2 days. House still looking rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it starts real small, and you know yourself normally like, no, you know what? I'm always washing the clothes, cleaning the house, doing this, doing that. So you see yourself starting to fall apart, and it's like, I can't seem to get myself together.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Right.
What can I do? You may display it in an attitude.
Yeah.
Snapping for no reason. Somebody asks you something, you're like, what? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's so good. You know, you be so right. You just mad. You just mad. You just sit there mad. Like, just mad wanting to fight.
Super
And
aggressive.
you realize, like, yo, I'm tripping.
Yeah.
I gotta pull myself back together.
Yeah.
And at that time, are we able to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, you know what? Or is it still everybody else's fault?
Well, it depends on you. Again, that's a hard pill to swallow because you have to say something is wrong with me. How many people want to do that? Do you want to do that? I think yeah, like something is wrong with me, and it's nobody else's problem. It's me.
I have to do it. I can't expect anybody to fix this. And I think a lot of times people, again, are dealing with these mental illnesses and they're looking for an outlet in someone else.
Or something else.
Or something else. So if it's like, okay, I'm going through something and I see myself breaking down, but I'm looking for you to come save me. So I'm all like, I'm expecting, Shell, come on, let's go do this. So if I stay busy, you're my outlet. But as soon as you're not, Shell, come on, then now what? Because see, you were my outlet to save me.
Yeah.
I wasn't dealing with it.
Right.
Now you're not calling. You done got busy. You doing whatever. I'm like, yo, we doing something this weekend? Are we doing?
Right.
You look forward to this person to save you, and you don't even see it as a crutch. Instead of saying, I need to learn how to save myself. What are the steps that I need to learn how to do to save myself?
First off, I've never been that type of person to depend. It's hard for me to depend on other people. So me seeing my worth or my happiness in another person, that's just me. I've never been able to do that. If you with it and we happy together, cool. If you not, worse. Like that's how I've always been. And but I do know people that need validation from other people, or people that need to constantly always be with another person and having that person decide everything and make the decisions and be the control. Like you control my happiness, you control my what we're going to be able to do. And some people live for that, like they love that. And I don't know if that's mental illness or what. I think that's just some people's personality just thrives that way. Like I need to, like, you have your introverts and you have your extroverts. I realize I'm super introverted with little hits of extrovert when I need to be, when it needs to be. Like a little bit of here, a little bit of here. You need me to run this, I'll run it. Yeah. You need me to be a part of this, I'll be a part of this. You need me to do this, I'll do it. I can step into that role for real rap. I'm cool by myself. I'm cool.
I'm that way
in the
too.
Background. I'm cool. Like not being involved. But people also use that as, oh, that's just who that person is. Well, if you have a super extroverted person who one day shuts completely down and you don't see them, that's not who they are. If you have a person that's introverted, but then all of a sudden they on a high and they going, super extroverted, super out there, super doing things to an extreme level, that's not normal either for that person.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And even like, so it's just being observant and things. And to your point, also is I think Will Smith said it when he was talking about him and Jada's relationship, and he was saying, I can't be your happiness. You have to be happy, I have to be happy, and then we can be happy together.
Correct.
So what I would say for people that are looking for others,
people to be their
happiness, I would suggest don't do that, because you will never be happy, because that person can disappoint you. That person will disappoint you unknowingly.
And then you're going to fall apart, which can generate mental illness.
Which is already a mental illness. I feel like
it's already because you're allowing
your self-worth is gone.
It's based upon somebody else and how they make you feel, or what they do, or what quote unquote in your mind brings you happiness based on someone else being in your life. So if that person was to leave your life, whether it be through death or they themselves just decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, you're going to fall apart.
Yeah, and you got people that like being with people.
Yes. I always got to be with somebody who can't. They just don't know how to function. They jump from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, and never take a time to heal. And again, this is all about mental illness. Because if I can't realize that I need to now pause before I jump into something else to heal myself.
But it's mental. We keep saying mental illness, but I would look at it like mental health. Period. And that across like that just means that
instead of saying it's like illness
because it's like it's like certain words are trigger words. You know, so anything related to sick,
illness,
like any of those things, people be like, "Well, ain't nothing wrong with me," and it's like, yeah, but we all have moments when we feel sad. We have all our moments when we feel extremely overly happy, and you're like, "Why do I feel like?" You ever just be like, I am on a hot today, and you know, you're going through your peaks and valleys, and unfortunately, it's things that don't happen overnight. It progresses, and unfortunately, a lot of times you don't see it until it's not until like the epitome of the worst that you've ever felt, and now you're showing it in a way that is like off-putting to other people, and then you're looking at like, and it is really hard, like. It's really hard for you yourself to look within yourself and go, something's wrong. Normally it's coming from somebody else, like something's not right with that person. And unfortunately, growing up in the Black community, everybody crazy. I don't know how she crazy. Oh, he just doing that because he crazy. Oh, he's crazy.
That's him. That's how they act.
Yeah.
They always been that way.
Why are you acting like this? Why are you acting all crazy? Like, instead of being like, and that's that judgmental of let's just be dismissive of what's really going on with this person, and we're going to label them as crazy, period. And then if we label them as crazy, then everybody knows how to react to this person. We're either going to ignore you, or we're going to make fun of you.
Don't mess with them.
We're just not going to bother with you
alone
at all. And unfortunately, that
isolation in itself.
Yeah, and it causes a lot of people not to get that type of help. Or whatever. And sometimes if you can't afford to go to, you know, there are so, like when I say there are so many avenues out there, I listen to a podcast called Therapy for Black Girls. And it's just a woman, like it's a therapist up there with a PhD, psychiatrist, and she has podcasts about different things that go on. And you just go in there and pick, this is how I'm feeling today. Black girls with anxiety. And let me play. You know, and there's other things like look, we are in the digital world.
Yeah.
Everything
that's one of the pluses.
Yeah, like
so it should be everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah,
everybody. So to say I can't, I'm not saying listen to everybody, because you got to know who to listen to, who not, who's trying to play game, who's trying to, whatever works for you, then that's what you have to be in search for in order to help you. And you're not ultimately affecting other people with these decisions that we are out here making. As long as we're able to benefit and grow from it and become better from it, that should be what the focus is about.
Yeah, find that thing. You don't have to go see it. I'm not saying I am a fan of the psychiatrist, of the psychologist. I'm a fan of therapy. I say do it. It works. I cannot stress that any more than I can right now. It definitely works, but it's not for everybody. I'm not saying everybody needs to go see. You need to find that thing that works for you. And if that means I'm going to go to church, go to church. If that means I got a friend that I can go to and talk to about this, and we can commiserate together, and then we can build each other up together, that's your therapy. Go, do it.
Work out.
Yeah. If you find out that it's physical activities like working out, joining a gym or joining a club and playing kickball or volleyball or basketball.
Go knitting, crocheting,
go do some pottery.
Yes.
Go figure, do something. Just find that thing that works for you.
That allows you to mentally.
Because sometimes it's just a mental.
It could be
outlet.
just going to the beach.
Yeah. It could be
driving to the beach,
right.
Just sitting by water.
Right.
Because water is extremely relaxing. It could just be lighting a candle.
It could be being at home, binging Black Mirror or something. Or taking a staycation, taking off and just being like, I'm going to not do anything.
No, we have to make time for our mental health, and it's okay. And it's nothing to frown upon, it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's okay for mental health day
Oh,
or
great.
days. And on that note, we're going to take a break.
No.
You're listening to Keeping It Real with Shell, www.sadorradio.com.
Sit back and rewind. Why are you doing this? You want to end it and start it back up? You can't pause it? Well, just go. Why are you going to break? We wasn't doing that. We're sitting here anyway. Just take your break.
Be back, y'all.
While I sit here and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, go ahead. Y'all talk now. Just a bit of the break from the law. Just a little something to break from the night. Yeah. I don't say, what are these people? I don't know. And if it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it. It was fun with the past. Just the face to look at our class. Back then I didn't really know what it was. So now I see what happens for me. It was some of that. Nothing out the hell is telling you that. Riding around, only anytime things gonna break so back and give it to you at the park. A place called the Planet, so everybody goes. She turns around to see what you beat it at. It's like the song of the natural like the beach track. And I ain't been on the court yet. Up to the ball, give me a short set. Yeah, I got all teams, but I need a new pair. The basketball courts in the summer got girls there. One which is about 88. Pop in the water club, that's the whole time sweet. Wait to the fair, check the one for. Cause you're invited to a barbecue to start before. Super rich friends, y'all know this. A couple days growing up in the first person you kiss. And as I think back, makes me wonder how the smell from the girl gets sparked up nostalgia. All the kids playing out front, little words messing out with the girls playing double dutch. While the DJ is spinning the tune as the old folks dance at the family reunion. This 6 o'clock rolls around. It does finish watching the car down. So you're going to do a summertime hangout. It looks like a car show. Everybody's going to be real fine. Fresh from the barbershop, lots of the beauty salon. Every moment running in back, chilling in the car, they all day waxing. And you can't be 2 hours an hour, so everybody sees you. And this is the Fresh Prince definition of something bad. Summertime. Oh,
DJ. That was like, oh.